Hello, and welcome to the Cavness HR podcast. I'm your host, Jason Cavness. Our guest today is LeShane Greenhill. LeShane, are you ready to be great today?
Absolutely.
LeShane is a native Nashvilleian. He is a CEO and co-founder of Sagents and founder of SalesCocktail.com. Prior to his current ventures, he founded Pishon Sales Outsourcing in 2016. He was selected by Google and Code 2040 to serve as an entrepreneur in residence at Google's Tech Hub. A graduate of the University of Memphis, he received his BBA with a concentration in MIS. He also completed the Building High Performing Business Executive Education Program at Dartmouth's Tech School of Business. He has served and currently serves on numerous nonprofit boards, including the Metro National Municipal Auditorium as the commissioner, the Exchange Club Family Center, Young Leaders Council, and Girl Scouts of Middle Tennessee. So, LeShane, you have a lot of stuff going on right now. You're a very busy person, like most of us are.
Yeah.
What are you focused on right now? What's your focus?
Yeah. So I do a lot of speaking these days. As a matter of fact, next Wednesday, I'm speaking at the Biz Smart conference in Kansas City for the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City. So I speak on, I get asked a lot of times to speak, I should say, on two things: growth and tech enablement. And all of that kind of came out of a blog that I started writing about 2.5 years ago called SalesCocktail. So, I'm doing that, still writing my blog around growth and tech enablement, and then also running Sagents, a software company, which is a supplier diversity automation platform.
So, from my point of view, I think a lot of business owners miss the opportunity to do a lot of public speaking. You know, I think 90% of business owners just work in their business and don't put themselves out there. Why is it important for business owners to actually do public speaking?
Several reasons. One, it's great to build your sales pipeline. Let me just get that one out of the way very quickly. It's a great way to increase your pipeline, your sales pipeline. Two, it provides you with a platform where you're considered an expert in whatever your subject matter is, which enhances your brand, whether that's personal or professional. And then thirdly, I think public speaking is the best way in a lot of scenarios. It's the best way to share what you do and how you can help others, and it's the best way for others to truly grasp what's taking place, the change that's taking place around them.
For the people out there who are introverts and they say, I'm an introvert, I can't do this public speaking thing, what advice would you have for them to get out there and start public speaking?
Well, first of all, I want to say, look, I completely understand that public speaking is not for everybody. Just like starting a business is not for everybody. And I think we have to recognize that, right? Everyone is not built to start a business. Everyone is not built to do public speaking. That doesn't mean, though, that if you're an introvert, that you can't become comfortable with public speaking. One of the things that I would suggest that you do is something that I did when I was in high school, which is probably where the foundation of me doing speaking started. And that is I participated in Toastmasters, which is an organization, international organization. They have hundreds of chapters, thousands of chapters, I would say, around the world. Whatever city your listeners are in, I'm sure they have a chapter there. Join Toastmasters and begin to start slow, I would say, through Toastmasters, but join Toastmasters, go and observe what takes place there. And as you get comfortable with how your local chapter is ran, I would suggest that you join it. Here I am, I don't know, 20, 25 years later, and I am going back through Toastmasters. I'm about to go back through it. So you're never too old for it. And, being 41, I felt it was time for me to kind of refresh some of my skills.
I like that. Even if you think you're good at a skill, you can always get better at it and refresh. I like that a lot.
Absolutely.
So you do a lot of giving back to the community, a lot of nonprofits work you do. Why is it important to you to give back to your community, and why do you do that?
So first of all, I think you have to recognize, people should recognize that I live in the city. This doesn't just apply to my city, but I do think the amount of giving that takes place on a corporate and professional level is in some cases unheard of in the way that the corporations and companies in Nashville are connected to the nonprofits. Um, and in Nashville, uh, corporations and companies such as mine, we encourage not only our leadership, but our employees to volunteer. And also, we encourage them to not only volunteer through their time, but with their expertise by sitting on a board. I think that that's important because um, nonprofits are tackling some very important issues that are impacting our local economy, our local society, global and international economy and society. And I think we all have to work together to solve some of those social concerns that we have. And so that's the reason why I think it's important.
One thing that makes it laugh when people say, oh, this is a nonprofit, they're not a real business. There's no difference between a nonprofit and a business, how you run it, except for the tax code, right? You still got to make money, bring money in. You still have marketing, sales. It's still a business, right?
That's the only difference. I'll tell you a funny story going to that point. So in 2006, I was selected as president and chairman, or elected as president and chairman of the junior chamber. I was a young 26-year-old at the time, 26, 27-year-old. And as part of my learning, what I did is I set up 2 or 3 meetings with area nonprofit presidents and executive directors, individual meetings, that is. And I want to ask them, my first question to all 3 of them in separate meetings was, what's the difference between a for-profit and a nonprofit? And to a T, they all told me absolutely nothing. In both cases, you got expenses and you got revenue. The only difference is the way the IRS looks at you. If you don't have enough revenue to cover your expenses in a nonprofit, guess what? You won't be able to provide the services to the community you want to. So there's no difference.
Yeah, and you still got to hire people, still got to let people go. I mean, everything's the same.
It's the same.
So
and
let's
you're competing for dollars too. They compete for dollars just like we compete for customers.
Yes. And not only that, it's hard. I think it's hard to bring on people for a nonprofit because you can't pay them as much. So it's even harder to bring talent on, I would think.
I would absolutely agree with that. Yes.
So for your company, SalesCocktail, talk about how that came about, what your vision is for your company.
So SalesCocktail actually came about, I've been owning that domain for about 10 years. And it wasn't until 3 years ago that I decided to activate it. And really what it started out as is just me writing a blog. And the blog was the subject matter was growth, tech enablement. And the audience that the blog is for is SMBs, small, medium-sized businesses, and MWBEs, minority women business enterprises. So it came about with me writing a blog to that audience on those 2 subjects. And about 2 or 3 months into me writing this blog, I started getting interest across the nation from people asking me, do I provide the services that I write about? And at the time I didn't. And after about 9 months of getting inquiries on a regular basis, one of my advisors just said, I think you need to figure out how to monetize this. So that's what we did. We decided to monetize it through advisory services.
So what services do you provide? Just regular sales outsourcing? Do you provide advice? What do you actually do?
No, we don't do sales outsourcing. So Python, I did have a sales outsourcing firm called Python. That's what I did from 2005 till about 2011. I'm not interested in doing sales outsourcing anymore. This is more, the difference between SalesCocktail and Python is Python, we would build a strategy, build a team around that strategy, manage that team, execute that strategy with the team. Team would be on my payroll. They'd work for Jason. They'd be in your office. The difference between Python and SalesCocktail is we do everything except for hiring, firing, and executing on the strategy. We help you build the strategy. We hold you accountable to the strategy. We help you identify technologies to execute the strategy, but we do not hire the people or manage the people.
For SalesCocktail, is there a certain size company you're targeting, a certain industry?
No certain industry, but I would say in terms of size, most of our companies are about 50 employees and below. Most of our clients, 50 employees and below.
And this is nationwide that you're doing this?
It is.
How have you been getting people to come on and use your service? What's it,
Speaking.
speaking? Yeah,
Speaking.
perfect time, correct? Yeah.
Literally speaking, yeah. And all of my speaking came out of individuals looking at my blog, and I started getting requests to go and speak. I spoke in July. I spoke at in Chicago at the Federal Reserve Bank. I was up there at the business conference. Speaking next week in Kansas City at the Federal Reserve Bank. I just got a request this week to come back to Chicago for a larger conference that they're doing. So speaking is how I've become, how I've built the pipeline for Sales Cocktail.
So the more you do speaking, have you found public speaking to get it easier each time you do it, or is this,
Well, I always get nervous before I speak. I think when you get to the point where you're not nervous before a big gig, then you're probably too comfortable, right?
yeah, I'm the same way. If I'm not nervous, I'll know I'm up to. If I'm not nervous, I'll know I'm about to bomb it. If I'm not
Yeah.
nervous.
So I always am nervous before I go on stage. But yes, to answer your question, you do get better at it. Just like with anything, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. The more comfortable you become with it, and the better the presentation is. So yeah, it becomes easier, but I still get nervous.
So of course, everyone says that has a business. Sales is the most important thing. We got to do sales, but no one wants to do sales, right? They're like,
Right.
it's the most important thing, but I'm not going to do it. It's kind of hypocritical.
Right.
How do we convince business owners? No, you got to take the time and do sales yourself. You need to do sales.
I think their bottom line should convince them. I can't convince them. If they're not making money, then I don't know what else is going to convince them that they have to do sales, right? Um, at the same time, I understand, and this was the reason why I started Python Sales Outsourcing some years ago, is I recognized that a lot of people aren't built for sales. It goes to the same point I said earlier. Some people are not built to speak. Some people are not built to start a company. Some people just aren't built for sales. And this, sales is it is a dog eat dog world, right? It's hand to hand combat, and you're very uncomfortable calling on people who don't know you. So if you're not comfortable with doing that, then you need to find someone who can help you do it.
When should somebody bring in an outside salesperson? Like, should a business owner say, you know what, I got to bring in my first $10,000 of revenue and then pass it on? Or should somebody say, you know what, I'm not good at sales. I know I'm not. Let me bring someone in right now.
So what's the question again?
So should somebody bring in, should somebody outsource sales like right away if they're not comfortable with it? Or should they say, no, I need to learn my company and do the first $10,000 revenue and then pass it on? Or should somebody just say, you know what, right now?
I definitely think you need to learn your company. If you're building a company, or whether that's a product or service, you need to know that company and that product or service in and out, so that when you do bring someone in, you can coach them on exactly what your company is about, because you've got to set the culture. And if you got someone selling for you, they need to understand your company before you put them in front of a potential client, right? So you need to know your company in and out. Because if you do hire someone outside to come in and sell, they're going to have a list of questions for you before they get comfortable with sitting in front of a prospective client, or at least they should. All right. If they don't have a list of questions for you to learn your company, you should look at that with some skepticism, that particular person or company. So yeah, you should, no matter how uncomfortable you are with the sales process, you should know your company, know your product and service, so that when I question you about it, if you want me to sell it for you, there are no gaps in what I learned about what you do, why you do it, how you do it, and who you do it for.
What's your philosophy on cold calling? Like, so somebody that's randomly call people they don't know and try to sell them, they should do some kind of research. What's your philosophy on cold calling?
Well, today the sales landscape has changed, right? Now you got inbound versus outbound. Back then it was pick up the phone, call someone, get the phone book, call a number in there without really knowing if they were a client, a prospective client. Today you got so much data at your fingertips that you can really drill down on who you want to call before you even pick up the phone. You do that by putting together what we call an ICP, an ideal customer profile, right? Helps you understand how the person thinks, um, the demographics, psychographics, and actionable insights into a particular individual or a company, right? So the cold call today is a lot easier. Should be, because if you're doing marketing and you understand who you're about to call, you have enough information up front to make that call a lot easier or a lot more comfortable for you. You're just not picking up a random number and calling it anymore. You're calling someone who you've identified, at least on the front end, that you have a certain level of understanding, wants, or needs your product. So it should be an easier call today.
Yes. So on your LinkedIn, you have a video that you did a while ago where you talk about reasons to adapt software as a service.
Yeah.
And put your business in the cloud. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because the stats are right. Like, it's amazing how many people are still doing things like quote unquote the old way. So can you talk about that a little bit?
The main reason to adapt SaaS is because it saves you money. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. It saves you money, and it can help you expedite, or execute certain strategies a lot quicker. That's really what it boils down to. So yeah, I think you're talking about the stats around one stat I have in that video is using SaaS platforms. There was a study that was done by Microsoft, I think it was, and they show that in 2018, over 725 million work hours alone were saved by using SaaS platforms and apps, right? 725 million work hours. That's a lot of money, right? So yeah, using SaaS, it helps you speed up execution, and at the end of the day, it should increase your margins.
What are reasons companies don't use SaaS? Is it just because they're scared of tech, or what's some reasons you've come across?
Many reasons. One, they don't even know what exists that can help them, right? Two, there's a learning curve that they just don't want to take on. And three, when you Google, let's just say, for instance, you Google CRM, you looking for something, what's going to happen? You get a list of 100 different CRMs that you now have to try to go through and figure out what's best for me, right? And so I think you get analysis paralysis when you look at so much and like, I don't even want to fool with it because I don't know what's best for me. And so I think those are some of the those are three reasons why companies don't really dive into how technology can help them.
That makes sense. I understand you have something for our listeners today.
Yeah, so we talk about SaaS, right? We talk about apps that I believe can help small businesses accelerate their growth. I've put together a PDF form of, I think it's maybe 15 different SaaS platforms that we've used personally within our company, and that I talk about when I do my presentations. And for your listeners who want that PDF file, if they want to, they can just text SalesCocktail, the word SalesCocktail, to 615-510-6364. Once again, text SalesCocktail to 615-510-6364.
And can you share your social media for yourself and your company so people can reach out to you?
Yeah, so for for Twitter, my personal Twitter address is LS Greenhill. My SalesCocktail is literally at SalesCocktail. And for Sagents, it's at Sagents. I am not personally on Facebook, but my SalesCocktail company is on Facebook, so you can look up SalesCocktail on Facebook.
And for our listeners, we'll have the link to his resource and his social media links on our show notes, and you can find the show notes at www.cabineshrblog.com. So let's talk about salespeople real fast. What advice would you have for a business owner has no sales experience? He's done sales and stuff for like 3 or 4 months. He's got some revenue. Now he's like, I need to bring on some salespeople. What advice should you have for this person to actually hire the salesperson? What should they be looking for?
Look for culture fit before you look for anything else. You can teach someone sales skills, or they can go out and acquire sales skills through training. But when you're talking about a salesperson, you're talking about someone that's going to be sitting in front of prospective clients and current clients, and they're going to be representing your company. So you want to make sure that that person is a culture fit. Salespeople are in front of more people or just as many people and representing the company as the owner or the founder is, right? So they are an extension of your brand. They are a mouthpiece for your company. So number one, look for culture fit, and then start looking at the skills. And when I say skills, I'm talking about the soft skills, communication, the presence. You know, how do they present themselves when they're in the presence of people? Once you get past the soft skills, then you can start looking at the actual experience that they have in terms of sales. What is their background in sales? What type of sales are they used to? What size businesses are they used to selling into? Are they normally selling into SMBs, or are they normally selling into large corporations? That's when you start looking at that. So I think those are the three areas in that order that I always tell sales or founders or owners to look at. One is culture fit, two are the soft skills, and then three is the actual sales background of the person.
So follow-up question: when should you let a salesperson go? Like if they don't they miss a quota for a certain number of months, or they have a certain number of sales, when should you let a salesperson go? Like how much time should you give them to train up?
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer because every product has a different sales cycle, right? You hire someone that has a sales cycle of 9 months doing RFP, and they don't complete the RFP sufficient enough, then maybe it's time to let them go. But that's a 9 month sales cycle, right? If your sales cycle is several weeks or several days, and they're not producing, say your sales cycle is 2 weeks long. I'm just throwing a number out there. And after 4 months, they haven't produced one sale, but they've had a lot of great leads, then you should start probably looking at why that's taking place. Now, here's what I would say. You have to make sure as the owner that you've set that salesperson up for success. They may not be the only reason why they're not closing deals. It may be that you haven't set them up for success and better understanding what the product is about, how to sell it, who your ideal client is, understanding the product and service profile, understanding how the product is positioned or needs to be positioned in the market, what the customer experience looks like, and all of that. You need to make sure that you have um, uh, the resources in place that when you bring that salesperson on, that you set them up for success.
That's good advice. Yeah, I like that a lot. Just say, hey, salesperson, and just put them in a vacuum. It's a collaborative process. A lot of people have to work with them.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Salespeople have the shortest. They have the shortest leash when it comes to a company. When they come in with a quota on their back, right? All salespeople do, and and I don't know of another department that really does. And so if you're going to bring someone in with a quota up front on their back, you need to make sure that you set them up front for success. And if they can execute based on how you set them up for success, then maybe they're not the right person.
yeah, and like suppose the marketing gave them 10 leads, but 10 leads are like unqualified. So
Right.
they're set up for failure right there.
You can't put that entire blame on them if they're getting leads that are really not qualified.
So we'll come to the end of our talk now. Can you provide our listeners any wisdom or advice on any subject you'd like to talk about?
Man, I think I'm going to reference something that I said earlier that was in reference to your question is, if you're a small business, be sure to consider very early on how SaaS platforms can help your business. I will say that, I mentioned earlier one of the reasons why small businesses don't use technology is because when they Google it, they get so many options, they don't know which one is best for them, and they just give up. Um, on our website, SalesCocktail, that is, we have a recommendation engine where you can type in. It's going to ask you 5 questions. I think it's 5. The size of your company, the industry that you're in, the type of software you're looking for, and then like your name and email. I think those are the 5. And then based on how you answer those questions, it will spit out a recommended list of platforms that fit the criteria you just entered in there. And so and there's no cost for that. We put that out there. There's no cost for that. And the reason why we did that is because we want small businesses to get over this analysis of trying to figure out what to do and what to use. So I guess that's a long way of saying use technology to increase your bottom line.
Exactly. Hey, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity, and hopefully one day I can return the favor.
And to our listeners, thank you for your time as well. And remember to be great every day.